My sister thought her fiancé was perfect until he texted me. On the night before my sister's engagement party, her fiancé Jason texted me at an. The message said, "You looked stunning at the rehearsal dinner tonight. Bet you get that a lot." I stared at my screen, heart pounding. I should have ignored it. I should have locked the phone and slept. Instead, I screenshot everything. Because the next morning, when I walked into our parents' kitchen and saw them laughing with Jason like nothing was wrong, I knew telling the truth would destroy something forever. If you were me, would you tell your sister? My name's Hannah, 25, from Austin, Texas. Older sister to the family golden child Becca, 27. She was the honors student turned architect everyone adored, and her fiancé Jason was the cherry on top of her perfect life. They met 3 years ago at a nonprofit event. He was handsome, polite, and the kind of guy who held doors and remembered birthdays. Mom called him a keeper. Dad told everyone he was the son they never had. And I liked him too at first. He used to ask me about my graphic design projects, say things like, "You and Becca really got all the brains in one family." Harmless flattery. I never read between the lines. But if you rewind far enough, you can spot every warning sign in hindsight. The way his hand lingered when he handed me wine, how his eyes flickered to my necklace instead of my eyes. Little things you shrug off until they pile into a story you can't unsee. It was the week of Thanksgiving, just before their engagement party. Family was in town, house noisy with laughter and decorations. Jason and Becca were setting up in Mom's backyard. I was helping string lights. Jason walked over, asked to hold the stepladder for me. When I climbed down, he brushed a bit too close, hand on my waist like it belonged there. I froze. He smiled. "Relax. Just helping." My brain filed it as awkward accident. My gut filed it as something else. That night, we had a family dinner for the Outcome town relatives. Small restaurant, warm lighting, too much wine. Jason sat next to me while Becca talked to friends at the other end of the table. At one point, he leaned over and whispered, "You clean up pretty well for the quiet sister." I laughed it off. Deflection is a survival skill. But his knee touched mine under the table and didn't move. When the night ended, he offered to drive me home because I looked tired. Becca was busy saying goodbye to guests. In the car, Jason kept it casual songs, traffic, work. Then he said softly, "It's weird. If I'd met you first," and let the sentence die out. I pretended not to hear. He laughed that half-drunk laugh that men use to test boundaries and added, "Don't worry, just a thought." When we reached my building, I opened the door without a word. He called after me, "Don't tell Becca I drove you home. She gets weird about stuff." Weird about what stuff? That's the moment I knew something was rotten under the polite smile. The next day, I avoided him. He acted normal, hugging Becca, helping Dad with chairs. And that night, 1 a.m., the text came. "You looked stunning tonight. Bet you get that a lot." I didn't reply. Minutes later, another. I meant it. Some people waste their charm on the wrong girls. Maybe he thought the alcohol gave him an alibi. It didn't. I screenshot everything, blocked his number, and sat in the dark till sunrise feeling half furious, half sick. When morning came, Mom was making pancakes and Jason was pouring coffee like a perfect groom. He glanced up, met my eyes, and smirked for half a second, the kind of smirk that said no one will ever believe you. My chest tightened. He'd tested me and won without a fight, because I was still silent. At that moment, my sister walked in wearing her engagement ring, showing Mom how it sparkled in morning light. She looked so happy I could barely breathe. If I told her, I'd destroy that smile. If I didn't, I'd live with the truth rotting inside me. Mini cliffhanger. And I had no idea that in just a few hours, the decision would be made for me in front of the entire family. The house smelled like cinnamon and fresh flowers that morning. Becca's engagement party day. Everyone was floating on excitement, except me. I could still feel that 1 a.m. text, like a stain on my skin. Becca twirled in her cream dress, asking, "Do you think Jason will like this?" I forced a smile. "He already does," I said, the words tasting like dust. Mom called everyone outside to start setting up. Jason was in the backyard stringing lights, all charming smiles, sleeves rolled up, the kind of moment people take pictures of. If only someone had filmed the truth instead. He caught my eye, a half-o grin, the same one from last night. He mouthed, "You okay?" and winked. My stomach turned. The party began around 5. Friends, family, laughter, soft jazz. I kept close to my cousin Mia, the only person who noticed I was off. "You good?" she whispered. I shrugged it away. When Jason stood to toast, I swear every cell in my body wanted to shout. He raised his glass, talking about loyalty, trust, and how Becca taught me what real love means. People clapped. Becca beamed. My phone vibrated in my purse. A message. "Can we talk alone later? Just to clear the air." My hands trembled. I showed Mia. Her eyebrows shot up. That's from him? I nodded. She whispered, You can't keep that to yourself. But before I could respond, Becca walked over, smiling. Hey, my two favorite people. What are you talking about? My heart pounded. I slid the phone screen down, fake laughing. Nothing, party gossip. Mia's jaw tightened. I thought we were safe till later. I was wrong. Around 8, Mom asked me to grab extra napkins from the kitchen. When I came back, Mia was standing near the patio table, her phone raised. My stomach sank. The soft crowd chatter stopped. Jason's voice echoed sharp. What's that supposed to be? Mia looked furious. I showed Becca your text, Jason. Everyone froze. He stammered, She's making stuff up. Becca blinked at me. What text? Mia handed her my phone before I could even breathe. The messages glowed on the screen under the fairy lights. Becca's smile disappeared. Jason lunged to grab the phone. This is out of context, he said, tone cracking. Mom gasped. Dad stood up. I couldn't feel my legs. Becca read silently, eyes filling, then looked at me. When did this happen? I whispered, Last night. Jason shouted, Nothing happened. She's jealous, that's all. No one spoke. Even the music had stopped. Becca's engagement ring caught the light as her hand shook. You texted my sister after dinner? Jason opened his mouth, but the crowd's judgment was louder than anything he could say. My father's voice cut through the air. You need to leave. Now. Jason tried to reach for Becca's arm. She stepped back. Don't. He left without his jacket, silence trailing behind him. I waited for Becca to look at me again. She didn't. She just handed me my phone and walked inside. Later that night, the house was quiet, except for distant traffic. I sat alone on the couch, phone face down, heart still hammering. Mia whispered from the hallway, You did the right thing. But my reflection in the dark window didn't look like someone who just did the right thing. It looked like someone who'd broken her sister's world. A door creaked upstairs. Footsteps. Then Becca's voice, flat and exhausted. You could have told me privately. I was going to, I said. She stared down at me, eyes red. Now everyone knows. You embarrassed me more than he ever could. The words hit harder than Jason's betrayal. There was no way to fix it. Be honest, if you were me, would you have stayed quiet? Mini cliffhanger. Because the next morning, Becca was gone and she'd taken more than just her suitcase. The next morning, the guest rooms were empty. No note. Just her suitcase missing and her ring sitting perfectly centered on the kitchen table. Mom sat beside it, hands shaking around her coffee mug. She left at 5, she whispered. Didn't say where. Dad paced, muttering, That boy's lucky I didn't break his jaw. I stood in the doorway, still in my sweatshirt from last night, staring at that ring. It looked so small on the wood, tiny and quiet, like the end of something sacred. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Message. Hope you're happy. You ruined your sister's life. No name, but I didn't need one. It was Jason. I blocked him immediately, heart hammering. He had the nerve to play the victim. Mom looked up, eyes wet. Why couldn't you wait until after the party? Why now? I wanted to scream. Because it already happened. Because he touched me with the same hands he put that ring on her with. But all I said was, It wasn't planned. Dad snapped. You exposed him in front of everyone. You think that won't haunt her? It's not my shame, I whispered. He didn't reply. No one did. I went to my room and sat on the floor, shaking. The house was too silent, filled with the heavy sound of blame. Around noon, Mia texted. She's at my apartment, safe. Relief flooded my chest, but it didn't fix the ache. Mia added, She's angry right now, but not at him. At herself. Give her time. I typed, Tell her I love her. Then deleted it, then typed again. Tell her I'm sorry. Hours passed. I scrolled through photos, birthdays, road trips, Becca's tan arms around Jason's shoulders. My stomach twisted. By sunset, another message came. From Becca this time. Please stop talking to people about this. I just need space. No, I believe you. Just disconnection. I wrote back, Okay. That one word drained me more than the entire night before. 2 days later, Jason's family started calling ours. His mother said he was devastated, misunderstood. She even hinted I must have wanted attention. Mom defended me in public, quiet but firm, yet every time she looked at me, guilt lived in her eyes. I avoided the outside world, grocery delivery, phone on silent. Even my art commissions were paused. The video of the party had already reached people beyond our circle. Someone's cousin posted a clip to social media. Comments split exactly down the middle. Half called me brave, half called me jealous. That's the thing about truth. It becomes entertainment faster than it becomes belief. Friday evening, the doorbell rang. I didn't move. Dad opened it. Jason. He stood in jeans, rain on his jacket, apology rehearsed across his face. I came to explain, he said. Dad's jaw clenched. You already explained enough. Jason spotted me on the stairs. Hannah, please. I care about both of you. You misunderstood that text. I laughed. You sent two. I didn't misunderstand anything. He stepped closer, voice soft. Your sister's hurt, but she still loves me. We can fix this if you help. Help? I asked. By lying? He hesitated. By staying quiet. I'll say I drank too much. That it was a stupid joke. She'll forgive. My pulse pounded in my chest. You want me to erase what you did? He said nothing, just looked desperate. Dad cut in. Get out before I call the police. Jason's mask cracked, then eyes turning cold. She'll regret this someday. Families fall apart when people like her play hero. The door slammed. His car peeled out of the driveway, headlights slashing through the rain. The next day, Mia came by with groceries and quiet encouragement. Becca's staying with a friend. She still won't talk, but she's calm now. I nodded. That's enough. Mia exhaled. You did the right thing, even if it looks ugly. Truth usually does. Later, Becca's name appeared on my caller ID. My chest tightened. I answered anyway. Her voice was dull, heavy. I talked to him. Of course she did. I needed to hear what he'd say. He admitted messaging you said he was drunk. That's not an excuse. I know. A pause. But everyone keeps talking about you, Hannah. The video, the texts. I can't escape it. I'm sorry, I said softly. If I could have pulled the truth out quietly, I would have. I didn't mean to destroy you with it. You didn't destroy me, she said. You destroyed who I thought he was. Her voice broke. So did some invisible wall inside me. That night, I scrolled through my voicemail. One message stood out from an unknown male voice. I hope you're proud. If Becca never forgives you, that's on you. Deleted. I stared out the window into darkness, whispering, I told the truth. Yet, truth felt heavier than any lie could have been. Mini cliffhanger. Because 2 days later, Becca came home with something in her hand that changed everything. 2 days later, rain streaked the kitchen window again. I was making coffee when I heard the door open. Becca walked in quietly, hair damp, eyes swollen but steady. She carried a small folder in her hand, the same one I'd seen her keep bridal contracts in. She didn't hug me. She just said, We need to talk. Mom froze mid-step. Dad stood up from the table, unsure whether to smile or brace for another argument. Becca placed the folder on the counter. It's all the messages, she said. From him, he admitted everything. My throat tightened. He confessed? She nodded. Half-o-truths first, then full ones. Said he got drunk, that it was harmless flirting, that he panicked after you exposed him. Then he dropped the line that finished it. I swallowed. What line? She looked right at me. He said he texted you because he knew you'd never tell, that you've always been the peacekeeper. Her voice didn't shake, but her eyes did. Dad exhaled, rubbing his face. Mom whispered, So it's true. Becca nodded once. All of it. Silence filled the house. Then she turned to me. I don't hate you, Hannah. I hated hearing about it from everyone else first. I didn't want to hurt you, I said. You were always protecting people, she murmured. Guess someone had to protect me too. Tears came, then hers first, then mine. Not theatrical, not loud, just human. She stepped closer, voice quiet. Can we go somewhere? Just drive? So we did. We got into her car, the one still smelling faintly of Jason's cologne. She rolled down the windows and said, Let's not talk, not yet. Miles of countryside slid by in silence, winter sun flashing through wet trees. After about 20 minutes, she pulled into a rest stop. We watched the clouds move. Then she said, I kept wondering what I did wrong, how someone could love me and still want someone else. I said softly, You didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes people cheat not because they don't have enough, they just want to see how far their lies can stretch before they snap. She gave a small, sad laugh. He snapped. On the way back, my phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. Hope you're proud of making headlines. Local blog says sisters destroy wedding for attention. I showed it to Becca. She rolled her eyes. People love scandals more than they love truth. Should I answer? No, she said firmly. Let them build their version. We'll live ours. For the first time, she was the calm one. When we reached home, Dad was fixing lights again, pretending the house was normal. He looked up, saw the folder in her hands, and asked, Did you end it? She nodded. He's gone for good. Mom exhaled a prayer. That evening we sat on the porch, sharing blankets, wind cold against our fingers. Becca said suddenly, I kept the ring. Why? As proof that not everything beautiful means safe. We both stared at it glinting faintly under porch light. Then she handed it to me. Maybe one day we can sell it and take a vacation instead. I smiled, tears burning again. Deal. Days rolled quietly after that. Becca started therapy. Mom stopped whispering Jason's name like it might summon shame. Dad avoided confrontation through cooking. Me? I started painting again. Big canvases, bright colors. For the first time, art wasn't an escape, but a declaration. When I posted one titled "Truth Doesn't Need Witnesses," people online understood exactly what it meant. Messages from strangers trickled and some said, "This helped me tell my story." Others just wrote, "Thank you for proving sisters can choose honesty over silence." A week later, while Becca packed up the last remnants of wedding plans, flowers, dress receipts, all of it a small white envelope slid through the mail slot. No return address. Inside, a single photo. Jason with another woman, date stamped 3 weeks before their engagement. She looked at it for a long time, then passed it to me. "No need to say anything," she whispered. "He's someone else's problem now." She tore it neatly in half, dropped it into the trash. Then she turned to me. "You think I'll ever trust again?" "Yeah," I said slowly. "It'll take time, but the kind of trust you build after surviving lies, that one never breaks." She smiled faintly. "Guess you'll be my maid of honor again someday." I laughed softly. "Only if you pick someone who doesn't text me at 1 a.m. Her laughter joined mine, trembling but real. Later that night, I went outside with my sketchbook. Cold air, distant stars. For the first time in months, quiet didn't feel heavy. Inside, Becca's shadow moved around her room, still wounded. Yes, but breathing. I whispered to no one. We made it through. Mini cliffhanger beat. Because what came next wasn't about him anymore. It was about what we did with the freedom his truth left behind. The weeks after that felt like learning a new language life without whispers. No more texts from hidden numbers. No more family walking on eggshells. Just coffee brewing in the mornings and the sound of Becca humming again. Spring crept in quietly. One Saturday she said, "Let's go somewhere no one knows us." We packed the car, drove west until the sky turned wide and bright. The radio played old songs we used to sing in the back seat as kids. She asked, "Do you still think I hate you?" I smiled at the road. "Only a little." She laughed. It was the first natural laugh I'd heard in months. At a diner off the highway, a waitress recognized her. "You're the girl from that engagement story, right?" Becca froze. I jumped in. "Wrong person." The waitress nodded, poured coffee, moved on. Becca stared at her cup. I thought I'd be angry, but I think I'm relieved. At least it happened before the wedding. I said, "Pain doesn't mean you failed. It means you found the truth early." She nodded slowly. "You always think before you speak. How do you stay calm?" I shrugged. "When the world calls you a liar for telling the truth, calm becomes protection." When we got back home, there was mail from a local magazine. They wanted to feature her designs and the resilience behind the architect who rebuilt herself. Her work had gone viral, not the scandal. People were starting to see her, not the rumor. She hugged me out of nowhere. "If you hadn't told me, I'd be married to a ghost." "No," I said softly. "You'd be married to a story he wrote for you. I just turned the page." Months passed. One evening we hosted a quiet dinner, parents, Mia, a few friends. Becca baked pie. Laughter filled the house again. After everyone left, she went to her room. I stayed at the table, dishes half done, when my phone buzzed. A new email. Subject line, "From Jason." My stomach dropped. I opened it. One sentence. "Thank you for telling her the truth. I needed to lose everything to finally see myself." I stared at the message for a minute, then deleted it without answering. Some closure doesn't need conversation. That night, Becca came back into the kitchen and noticed the look on my face. "Old ghost?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Just left for good." She smiled gently. "Then let's stop living like we're haunted." Summer arrived. We started volunteering together, designing community murals, teaching kids how to paint. Nothing fancy, just colors healing old gray spaces. One afternoon, a girl about 12 came up to me and said, "I saw your video." I frowned. "What video?" She giggled. "The one where your sister's fiancé was mean and you told the truth. You're really brave." I was stunned for a second. That was just a story people talked about. She shook her head. It mattered to me. Then she ran off to grab her paintbrush. I watched her go and realized stories don't end when we stop telling them. They live when someone else decides to believe the good parts. Back home that night, I found Becca on the porch, barefoot, watching lightning bugs. She said, "You notice how quiet guilt gets once it has nothing to feed on?" I laughed. "Yeah. It starves fast." We watched the dark yard blinking with tiny lights. She whispered, tell me again I did the right thing leaving him. You did, I said. Every day you wake up honest, you win again. Weeks later, I started recording the story not for the internet, but for myself. Soft voice into my mic. This is what it sounds like when two sisters choose truth over comfort. When I played it back, my voice didn't shake. It sounded steady, grown. Becca listened, smiled. It's weird how we became the story we used to scroll past. Yeah, I said, but at least ours ended right. The night we finished the recording, I asked her, you ever think about the ring? She shook her head. Sometimes. Then I remember it fit his finger too easily for a reason. We laughed quietly, the kind of laugh that comes only after survival. Peaceful closing beat. Maybe I didn't save my sister's fairy tale, but I saved her from living in someone else's. And that's enough. Truth doesn't always bring applause. Sometimes it brings silence, distance, and then clarity. But one day you wake up, breathe without fear, and realize the storm settled because you were brave enough to start it. If you've ever been punished for honesty, remember, storms end, and peace sounds exactly like your own heartbeat when it finally stops racing.